Hi students, welcome to our second session of chemistry class. In the last class, I had discussed about the solution, the basic terms which are used to express the concentration terms, and based on these formula, I had solved two numerical problem and two numericals had given to you for your home assignment. Before going inside the chapter, I would like to solve these numerical problem which I had given you in my first class. Calculate the molality and mole fraction of a solution containing 2.5 gram of ethanoic acid CH3COOH in 75 gram of benzene. Also calculate the mass percentage of benzene in the solution. This is the numerical which I had given you in my first class. So I would like to show you the solution of this numerical. Calculation of molality. First we go to calculate the molality. For calculating the molality, we have to first write what is the mass of the solute, that is the WB is equal to 2.5 gram. Molar mass of the solute, MB is equal to 60 gram per mole. Moles of solute, that is NB, represented by NB, which is calculated by the formula WB divided by MB is equal to 2.5 divided by 60. After dividing this, we got the result, that is 0.0417 mole. Now, what is the mass of the solvent? Mass of the solvent is given in the numerical, that is the 75 gram, and to calculate the molality we have to convert the gram into kg, so it is divided by 1000 and the result is 75 into 10 to the power minus 3, that is the mass of the solvent. Now we have to calculate the molality, which is represented by the symbol small m, and the formula is NB divided by WA in kg, that NB is the number of moles of the solute divided by mass of the solvent in kg, which I had already found this. The number of moles of solute is 0.417 mole divided by mass of the solvent in kg is 75 into 10 to the power minus 3. After solving this, we got the result, that is the 0.556 mole per kg. First we calculate the molality, then next is the calculation of mole fraction. The moles of the solute which I had got in first page, that is the 0.0417 mole. Mass of the solvent WA is equal to 75 gram. Molar mass of benzene, which is calculated by adding the atomic mass of the elements which are present in the formula of benzene, C6H6, that is the 78 gram per mole. Moles of solvent, Na. Moles of solvent is calculated by WA, given mass, divided by Ma, that is the molar mass of the solvent, and 75 divided by 78, and after dividing this we got the result, that is the 0.961 mole. The total moles, to calculate the mole fraction we have to first find out what is the total number of moles which is present in the solution. The total moles is calculated by adding the Na plus Nb, that is the number of moles of solute plus number of moles of the solvent, that is the 0.0417 plus 0.96 is equal 1.0027 mole. Now the mole fraction of the solute is equal to Nb divided by Na plus Nb, that Nb is the number of moles of solute divided by total number of moles which is present in the solution. The Nb is found, that is the 0.0417 divided by total number of moles which is present in the solution is 1.0027. After dividing this we got the result, that is the 0.0416. Now the mole fraction of the solvent. In a total solution, Xa plus Xb is equal to 1. So the mole fraction of the solvent, that is the Xa is equal to 1 minus Xb, and 1 minus 0.0416. After subtracting this we got the result 0.9584, that is the mole fraction of the solvent. Now our next is to calculate the mass percentage of benzene. In this numerical it is said you to calculate the mass percentage of benzene, and the mass percentage of benzene is calculated by the formula, that is the mass of the benzene Wa into 100 divided by total mass of the solution, that is the Wa plus Wb. Mass of the benzene is given in the numerical, that is the 75 gram into 100, and mass of the solvent is 75 plus mass of the solute is 2.5. That is the, when we add these, we found the total mass which is present in the solution, and we got the result 96.78%. All of you have seen this solution, and you have cleared the idea how we solve the molality, mole fraction and mass percentage of different type of solute or solvent in a particular type of solution. Now our next numerical problem, which I had given you in my first class, the problem is calculate the mole fraction of benzene in solution containing 30% by mass of it in carbon tetrachloride. And the solution of this numerical is to calculate the mole fraction. Mass of the benzene, suppose in a solution the mass of the benzene is 30%, means 30 gram. Molar mass of benzene is, that is Mb is equal to 78 gram per mole. Then moles of benzene, that is the Nb, which is calculated by the formula Wb divided by Mb, given mass divided by molar mass, is equal to 30 divided by 78. After solving this, we got the result 0.385 mole. The mass of carbon tetrachloride, here carbon tetrachloride is a solvent, so it is represented Wa, and the mass of carbon tetrachloride given in the numerical is 70 gram. Molar mass of carbon tetrachloride is calculated by adding all the atomic mass of the element which is present in the formula of carbon tetrachloride, that is 154 gram per mole. Moles of carbon tetrachloride, that is the Na, is equal to Wa divided by Ma, 70 divided by 154 gram per mole. After dividing this, we got the result, that is 0.454 mole. Now after calculating all these, now we come to next point to calculate the mole fraction of benzene. The mole fraction of benzene, that is the Xb, is calculated by the formula number of moles of benzene divided by total number of moles which is present in the solution. The number of moles of the benzene is 0.385 divided by total number of moles in the solution is 0.385 plus 0.454. After calculating this, we got 0.459, that is the mole fraction of benzene which is present in the solution. In a solution, as I had already told you, in a solution Xa plus Xb, total number of mole fraction of solute and solvent is equal to 1. So the mole fraction of carbon tetrachloride, that is the mole fraction of the solvent, is equal to 1 minus mole fraction of benzene, that is the solute, and is equal to 1 minus 0.459, which is equal to 0.541. This is the. Now students, after solving these two numerical problems which I had given you in my first class, now I am going inside the chapter, and for today the first topic is solubility. So what is solubility? How we can define the solubility of a solute in a particular type of solvent? We have generally heard that some of the substances dissolve in water, while other dissolve to some extent or do not dissolve at all. It means the solubility is generally expressed as the extent to which a substance dissolves in a specified amount of the solvent. That is the solubility. Okay students, now I am showing you some of the definition which clearly explain you what is the solubility of a solute in a particular type of solvent. The solubility is generally defined as the amount of solute that can be dissolved in 100 gram of the solvent at the given condition. The given condition means the given condition may be either the condition of temperature, pressure, etc. Or in other words, the solubility can also be defined as the solubility of a substance at a given temperature is the maximum quantity of solute in moles or gram that can be dissolved in solvent to form 1 liter of the solution. These two are the basic definition to explain the term solubility. After discussing about what is solubility, how we can define the solubility, dear students, next we come on the points that what is the unit of solubility. That is, the solubility may be defined as moles of the solute present per dm cube of the solution, or gram of the solute present per dm cube of the solution, or it may also be given in the term that how much gram of the solute is present in 100 gram of the solvent. Okay, after discussing the basic definition of solubility, I am next going what is the energetics of the dissolution process. Dissolution means when a particular solute is dissolved in a specified amount of the solvent, this mixing of the solute and solvent is named as the dissolution process. Then to govern this dissolution process, what is the basic energetics involved in it? So before starting the chapter, I would like to say you that in the dissolution process, there are three interparticle forces play an important role in the dissolution process. These three interparticle forces are AA, BB and AB interaction. The AA means this is the interaction between solvent and solvent. BB means this is the interaction between the particles of solute and solute, and AB means this is the interaction of solvent particle and solute particles. So when we are going to dissolve a specified amount of solute in a solvent, these three interparticle forces play an important role. During the dissolution process, the AA and BB interparticle forces has to be overcome with supply of energy, whereas the AB interaction has to be established with the release of the energy. What are the conditions which is generally applied for the dissolution of a particular type of solute in a solvent? Dear students, generally we have observed that some of the substances are dissolved in a particular type of solvent, whereas some other substances are not dissolved in it. Then why? The question arises is that why that particular solute is dissolved in that solvent while the other solute is not dissolved in it. So in this case, these interaction play an important role. The first condition is that if AB interaction is stronger than AA and BB interaction, in this case the particular type of solute is soluble in that type of solvent. Again, when AB interaction is stronger than AA and BB interaction, in this case that particular solute is soluble in that solvent. Then our next condition is when the interaction of AB is little weaker than AA and BB interaction. In this condition, energetically this dissolution process does not exist, but this dissolution process exists if the delta S value means the delta S has larger positive value. In this condition only the dissolution is possible. And the third condition is that when this AB interaction is very weak than AA and BB interaction, in this case the dissolution of that particular solute in the solvent does not exist. This is the overall about the energetics of the dissolution process. Now, after understanding the energetics of the dissolution process, then our next topic is solubility of solid in liquid. When a solid solute is dissolved in a liquid solvent. So students, when a solid solute is dissolved in a liquid solvent, the dissolution of solute in the solution takes place. When a solid solute is dissolved in a liquid solvent, initially the concentration of the solution increases as more and more number of the solute particles are dissolved in the solution. But after some time it is found that when we add a solute in a solvent, then the solution, this results in the formation of solution. But after some time it is found that when we are adding the solute in the solvent, there is no dissolution takes place. It is generally observed that no much quantity of the solute is added in the solution. At this stage an equilibrium is established. An equilibrium is established, and this equilibrium generally show that at this state the concentration of the solute remains constant. The concentration of the solute remains constant. It means how this equilibrium established. Generally at this equilibrium state two opposite processes takes place simultaneously with same speed, and these two processes are, first is the crystallization, and second one is the dissolution. Initially, when we are adding the solute in the solvent, it is found that some of the dissolved solute which is present in the solution collides with the solid solute which are added in the solution and separate out of the solution. This process is named as the crystallization. And what is dissolution? When we are adding the solute in the solvent, the solute completely dissolve in the solvent to form the solution. That process is named as the dissolution. So, at equilibrium, this crystallization means the amount of the solute undergoing the crystallization process is equal to the amount of the solute which is undergoing the dissolution process. So, students, now I have given you solubility of solid in liquid. When a solid solute is added to solvent, dissolution of solute occurs. The concentration of the solution gradually increases. The dissolved solute particles also collide with the solid solute, and some of them separate out of the solution and get deposited there. This process is called crystallization. Soon, a stage is reached when the two opposite processes, that is the dissolution and crystallization, occur at the same rate and a state of dynamic equilibrium is established, which is shown you the solid solute plus solvent. These two are in equilibrium with the solution. Okay, students. After that, a term comes, that is the saturated solution. What is saturated solution? The saturated solution is generally defined as the solution in which no more solute can be dissolved at the given condition of temperature and pressure. That is named as the saturated solution. So, students, what is the basic definition of saturated solution? The basic definition is the solution in which no more solute can be dissolved at the given condition of temperature and pressure is called saturated solution. This is the basic definition of the saturated solution. After discussing the solubility of solid in liquid, now I am going to define you how we define the solubility of a solid in liquid. Solubility of a solid is generally expressed as the amount of solid that can be dissolved in 100 gram of the solvent at a given temperature. In fact, the solubility refers to the concentration of the solute in a saturated solution at the given condition of temperature and pressure. This is the basic definition to explain the solubility of a solid in liquid. Now, after discussing the solubility of solid in liquid, then our next topic is what is the cause of solubility of ionic solids in liquid, how these ionic solids are dissolved in the liquid solvent. In order to understand this concept, I would like to take one example, that is the solubility of ionic solid in water. Generally, when these ionic solids are dissolved in water, these ionic solids are dissociated in the form of positive and negative ions. When these positive and negative ions are get attracted by the opposite poles of the water dipole, in this case the dissolution of that ionic solid in water takes place. In case of ionic solids, generally their interaction is due to the inter-ionic interaction. The interaction is between the positive and negative ions. But when these ionic solids come in contact with water molecule, the positive and negative ions of the ionic solids are get attracted by the opposite poles of the water dipole. In this case, if ion and dipole interaction is greater than ion interaction. If ion dipole interaction, that ion dipole interaction is formed in when these ionic solids come in contact with the water molecule, and when this interaction is stronger than the ion-ion interaction, this interaction is present in the ionic solids. In this case, the cation and negative ions are pulled out of the crystal lattice and they passes into the solution. In this case, the dissolution of ionic solid in liquid takes place. Generally, the molecular solids do not dissociate, do not ionize, but their solubility in water is due to the formation of hydrogen bond with the water molecule. Dear students, this ion dipole interaction and ion-ion interaction, when these ion positive and negative ions come in contact with the water dipole, the stage is formed that particular ions are named as the hydrated ion. When they come in contact with water, these ions are named as the hydrated ion, and the process is known as the hydration of ions. Okay, now our next thing is that what is the delta LH, what is delta hydration enthalpy and delta solution enthalpy. The delta LH is the change in the enthalpy when 1 mole of crystal lattice passes into the solution. And delta hydration enthalpy is the amount of energy released when 1 mole of ionic solid is dissolved in the water, means when 1 mole of ionic solid is hydrated. And delta sol H is the change, total change in the enthalpy when 1 mole of solid is undergoing the dissolution process. That delta H, delta LH is always in positive value and this is always in negative value. The delta LH is the lattice energy. Lattice energy means the amount of energy which is required to break 1 mole of crystal lattice. The delta hydration H is, that is the amount of energy released when 1 mole of solid is undergoing the hydration process. And delta sol H is the net change in the enthalpy when 1 mole of ionic solid is undergoing the dissolution process. Then what is the total net change in the enthalpy of when 1 mole of ionic solid is undergoing the dissolution. The net enthalpy change occurring during the dissolution of 1 mole of solid, that is the delta sol H, is equal to the lattice energy plus hydration enthalpy. There are 3 conditions which is responsible for the dissolution of a particular type of solute in the solvent. If the hydration enthalpy is greater than or equal to the lattice energy, in this case the dissolution occurs with delta sol H is less than 0. The net enthalpy change is less than 0. If hydration, the second condition is if the hydration enthalpy is marginally less than the lattice energy, then the dissolution takes place and the total enthalpy change is greater than 0. The third condition which is responsible for not dissolving the particular solute in the solvent is if the lattice energy is too large to be compensated by the hydration energy, then dissolution completely does not take place. From this picture, you have clear your concept how the ionic solids are dissolved in liquid. This is the picture of ionic solid, and this is the picture when ionic solid come in contact with the water, means when the ionic solids, means positive and negative ions of the ionic solids get attracted by the opposite poles of the water and they passes into the solution, means the hydration of ionic solid in liquid takes place. This is the ionic solid. In this the positive and negative ions are present, cations and negative ions are present. When the ion dipole interaction is greater than ion-ion interaction. Here in the case of ionic solid, the interaction is ion-ion interaction. There is interaction between the positive ion and negative ion, positive ion. This interaction is named as the ion-ion interaction. When these ionic solid come in contact with water dipole, the interaction become ion dipole interaction. That may be either cation dipole, that may be either anion dipole. In this case, when the ion dipole interaction is greater than ion-ion interaction, then cation and anions are get attracted by the opposite poles of the water dipole, and as a result of this, these ions are passes into the solution. When these ions are passes into the solution, they remain independent entity. They remain as an independent entity, but they are covered by, they are enveloped by the water dipoles. This is the picture from which you clear your idea. This is the positive ion and this is the negative pole of the water dipole. This is the O negative. These are the two H plus H plus. So this is the positive ion and it is attracted by the opposite poles of the water dipole, means these positive ion get surrounded by the water dipole. Their particular ions are named as the hydrated ions. Is named as the hydrated ions. And similarly, this is the negative ion and this negative ion get attracted by the positive pole of the water dipole. And the overall this process is named as the hydration of ionic solids. Okay students, now our next topic is what are the factors which are affecting the solubility of solid in liquid. Generally, there are so many factors which are affecting the solubility of solid in liquid, but in class 12 we are going to discuss the two factors, that are the nature of the solute and the temperature, because pressure does not show its effect on the solubility of solid in liquid, because solids are generally incompressible substances. Pressure only play an important role in the solubility of a gas in a liquid. So now we start. What are the factors which are affecting the solubility of a solid in a liquid? Factors affecting the solubility of solids. What are the factors affecting the solubility of solids in liquid? The first factor is nature of solute. The dissolution of solute in liquid can be summed up in a phrase like, dissolve like. What is meaning of like, dissolve like? Like, dissolve like means generally the substances, means the solid substances are classified into two types, that are the polar substances and non-polar substances. The polar substances like NaCl, KCl, potassium nitrate, these are the polar substances. So these polar substances are soluble in the polar solvent like water. Water is a polar solvent, but these substances, these polar substances are insoluble in non-polar solvents. Non-polar solvents means like benzene, carbon tetrachloride, ether, these are the, and carbon disulfides. These are the non-polar solvent. This is the meaning of what is the like, dissolve like. The polar is soluble in polar, the polar is insoluble in non-polar solvents. The second is the non-polar solute like iodine, sulfur. These non-polar solutes are soluble in non-polar solvents only. The non-polar solvents, I have already told you, the non-polar solvents are carbon disulfide CS2, carbon tetrachloride CCl4, benzene. These are the non-polar solvent, but these non-polar solutes are insoluble in polar solvent like water. So this is the first factor which affect the solubility of a solid in a liquid. The first factor is the nature of the solute. What is the nature? Based on the nature of the solute, its solubility is greatly affected in a particular type of solvent. Okay students, then our next factor is temperature. Temperature also play an important role in the solubility of a solid in liquid. The solubility may increase or decrease with rise in the temperature depending on the value of net change in the enthalpy of the dissolution process. The first point is, if the value of delta sol H is less than 0, it means the solution process is exothermic in the nature. And the second one is, if the value of delta sol H is greater than 0, it means if the solution process is endothermic in the nature. Temperature also play an important role in the dissolution of solid in liquid. This is the explanation which show the solubility of a solid in the solvent. When this solute is dissolved in the solvent, it results in the formation of solution and there is a equilibrium is established. The first condition, how the temperature affect the solubility of solid. If when a solute is dissolved in a solvent and the total change in the enthalpy during the dissolution process is less than 0, it means if the solubility of a solid in liquid is an exothermic in the nature, in this case when we increase the temperature, it means here some amount of energy is liberated. That is some amount. When a solute is dissolved in solvent, it results in the liberation of energy, liberation of heat. It means when we increase the temperature, then according to Le-Chatelier principle, I thought all of you have heard this principle. What is the Le-Chatelier principle? According to Le-Chatelier principle, during the equilibrium condition, when we are supplying stress, the stress may be either increase of the temperature, decrease of the temperature, increase of pressure, decrease of pressure. In this condition, when we are applying the stress, the reaction or the equilibrium shift either in the backward direction or forward direction in such a order to minimize the overall stress which the resulting solution, resulting chemical reaction is experiencing. So, when the reaction is exothermic in the nature, in this case the reaction proceed in backward direction. The reaction proceed in that direction in which it utilize the increase of the temperature. The reaction proceed where the energy heat is consumed, that is in the backward direction. Another condition is that when we are going to dissolve a solute in a solvent and this dissolution process is endothermic in the nature. Endothermic in the nature. It means here the heat is supplied to this side, H. This heat is supplied to this side. Means for adding the solute in a solvent, we have to supply some heat. That particular reaction is named as the endothermic reaction. In this case, when we are increasing the temperature, then according to Le-Chatelier principle, the reaction proceed in that direction so that the stress is minimized, and here the stress is increase of the temperature. It means when we are increasing the temperature, the reaction proceed in the forward direction so as the overall increase in the temperature should be minimized. It means the solubility of solid solute in a liquid solvent gradually increases when we are increasing the temperature. Just reverse. In the first case, when we are decreasing the temperature, the reaction proceed in forward direction. And here, when we are decreasing the temperature, the reaction proceed in backward direction. This is the overall effect. What happens, what type of solute we are using for dissolution of that particular solute in a solvent, and what happens when we increase or decrease the temperature in a particular type of solution. Dear students, today we have discussed about the solubility term. Solubility means solubility of solid in liquid, solubility of gas in liquid, and what are the different types of factors which are affecting the solubility of solid in liquid. Then I would like to request you, you have to first learn all the formulas which come in this chapter, because when you learn the formula, then you have develop your tendency to solve the numerical problems which comes in this chapter. Okay, thank you. Stay home, stay safe.